several people mentioned baseline budgeting. Speaking of dark and evil things, can we ever get rid of it? And
okay, this is my favorite example of baseline budgeting. Last year, if you spent $100 on something in your household, and this year you spent $100, you would call that a freeze. We call it a cut. If you spent $100 last year and $102 this year, you call that an increase. We call it a cut. If you spent $104 this year instead of $100, you call that an increase. We call that a freeze. And if you spent $106 this year instead of $100, you call that an increase. And we finally call that an increase. That we are set up to spend more money. They don't correlate perfectly, but the 1974 Budget Act, the deficits as a percent of GDP really take off in 1980, 1981. All my Reagan friends always cringe when I say that, but it's absolutely true. But the Republicans and Democrats figured out that time that Republicans could cut taxes, and Democrats could still increase spending, and everybody could keep his and her job because they were simply going to borrow to make up the difference. But it was really the 1974 Budget Act that set up that type of spending curve. By the way, if you wanted to be really cynical, again, if you see a theme, yeah, okay. Again, I do budgets for a living. It's what I get paid to do. Why is that convenient? Why hasn't it changed? And why is it going to be so difficult to change? Okay, we spent $100 last year. We spent $104 this year. Okay, you call it an increase. We call it a cut. You come into my office and you really, really like that program. And I'm a member of Congress, and I could say, Ann, thank you very much. I want you to know I agree with you. And I think that is a really important program, and that's why we increased spending on that this year. So will you remember that and vote for me in November? Thanks very much. And when you come in the next day, and you're a good fiscal conservative voter of mine from back home, I say, you know what, I agree with you. And that's why we cut spending on that program last year. So would you vote for me in November? So it's been a very convenient way for a bunch of people to stay elected.